If the future is not yet here, how can God already know it in perfect detail? The human mind experiences time as a line, yesterday behind, tomorrow ahead, and a thin present in between. Ibn Arabi challenges this intuition. In his metaphysics, all moments, what we call yesterday, today, and tomorrow, are equally real in divine knowledge. To finite perception, time seems to unfold. To God, it simply is. This lecture unpacks that claim with clear steps. First, we will outline Ibn Arabi's metaphysics of time and divine knowledge. Then we will map those ideas onto modern science, relativity's block universe, cognitive neuroscience of time perception, and predictive models of the brain. The goal is not to make the future predictable. It is to transform how we understand freedom, destiny, and awareness. When the future is reframed as something eternally present in God, anxiety shifts to participation and control gives way to clarity. Modern life trains attention toward the horizon. Economic instability, rapid technological change, and global events feed a constant question: what's next? From a psychological perspective, this vigilance is understandable. The brain's default mode network is specialized for mental time travel, reconstructing the past and simulating the future. Research by Suddingdorf and Corballis suggests that this capacity, while adaptive, predisposes the mind to project feared outcomes even in the absence of immediate threat. Anticipatory imagery activates the amygdala. Physiological stress occurs before anything has happened. Cognitive biases amplify the problem. We experience the past as fixed, the future as open, and the present as a narrow corridor of control. This egocentric time bias encourages the belief that outcomes are controllable through sheer effort. Sometimes that belief is helpful. Often it produces a double burden: hope tied to perfection and fear tied to uncertainty. Ibn Arabi reframes the entire structure. Anxiety about the future, he would say, arises from a category error, mistaking our sequential perception for the nature of reality itself. What we call the future is already complete within divine consciousness. What changes is not the content of reality, but our awareness of it as it discloses in sequence. Ibn Arabi, the Andalusian mystic philosopher, grounds his metaphysics in Wahdat al-Wujud, the unity of being. Existence is a continuous self-disclosure of God. Time, therefore, is not an independent stream running alongside God. It is a mode of perception within creation. Key doctrine, past, present, and future exist eternally in divine knowledge, ilm. The passage of time is our sequential encounter with what is already known. The analogy is straightforward. An author has written the entire book. The reader experiences suspense only because the pages are turned one by one. In this framework, ignorance of the next page is not evidence that the page does not exist. It is evidence of the reader's position. This ancient metaphysics aligns in surprising ways with modern physics, which has questioned for over a century whether time flows at all. Divine knowledge is outside time. Time characterizes created existence, not divine reality. God's knowledge is not sequential. It is simultaneous. Ibn Arabi paraphrases the point succinctly. The real knows the thing before it exists. Its coming to be adds nothing to his knowledge. If divine knowledge is atemporal, talk of the future arriving applies to us, not to God. The newness of events is an artifact of perception. In special relativity, many physicists interpret space-time as a four-dimensional block. Past, present, and future coexist as coordinates in a single manifold. Now it is observer-dependent, translating cautiously. What looks like flow within time can be understood as a location within a larger geometry. For God, who is not located within space-time, reality is not a moving present. It is the whole. The future is not non-existent. It is present in God's knowledge and hidden from our position. Our ignorance of it does not make it unreal. Human perception is sequential unfolding. Humans interface with divine reality through time-bound cognition. Consciousness samples reality in discrete increments and then stitches those samples into a feeling of continuity. Tajdid, al-Khalq, Verlaine, continuous creation in the now. Existence is renewed at every instant. The mind experiences renewal as flow. Neuroscience indicates that perception is constructed from discrete temporal windows, on the order of tens of milliseconds, with the brain solving a binding problem to integrate separate features into a coherent moment. In everyday terms, your experience of motion is synthesized from snapshots. The film is already complete, but the projector reveals it frame by frame. Consider a finished movie. All frames exist on the reel. The viewer experiences suspense only because frames are presented sequentially. Likewise, what we call life is the sequential presentation of an already complete reality. Time functions as a cognitive interface that allows finite minds to encounter infinite beings without being overwhelmed. Destiny Qadar, as divines, events are manifestations of divine attributes. Osma, Ilahiyya. What unfolds is not random. It is a measured revelation, Ta'in, of God's infinite names through specific circumstances. The future is a name of God awaiting disclosure in our field of perception. Al-Adl, the just, appears where equilibrium and right proportion arise. Al-Qahar, the subduer, appears where constraint and trial restructure the soul. The event teaches which name is active. In complex systems, patterns can be deterministic at the level of rules and still unpredictable in their specific manifestations. What appears as chaos often hides lawful structure. Similarly, destiny is not arbitrary. It is intelligible as the unfolding of qualities across constraints. Destiny is not a denial of meaning. It is the grammar of divine disclosure, how intelligible qualities appear within time. Free will within divine omniscience. If the future already exists in divine knowledge, how can choice be real? Free will is experientially necessary within perception even. If it is not ontologically independent of God, humans must choose because perception is staged as decision points. Yet every choice is eternally known by God. Philosophical compatibilism holds that freedom, and determinism need not be antagonists. Freedom can be defined as acting according to one's nature and reasons within a larger order. On this view, divine foreknowledge does not cause your act. It means your act is eternally present to God. Two levels operate simultaneously at the human level. Deliberation, intention, and responsibility are real. At the divine level, the totality is already held. These perspectives are not competitors. They are complementary descriptions of one process, change without change. The world is renewed at every instant, yet God never changes. Creation is a succession of divine self-appearances. The source remains constant. Relativity offers a helpful analogy. Motion and stillness are frame-dependent. What changes from within time is stable from the vantage of the whole. Thus the apparent flow of becoming conceals a deeper stillness. The unchanging act of divine being, Knowledge and ignorance are complementary. Human ignorance of the future is not a defect. It is a condition for moral and cognitive growth. If destiny were fully visible, effort would collapse into mere spectatorship. Divine concealment is pedagogical. It preserves the meaningfulness of striving. From a neuroscientific angle, predictive coding suggests that uncertainty drives learning. Violations of expectation, prediction errors, refine our internal models. The veil over the future is precisely what makes maturation possible, the eternal frame of awareness. In moments of uncertainty, visualize your life as a complete film already present in divine knowledge. Your awareness moves through it frame by frame. Adopting a meta-perspective reduces amygdala activation associated with threat appraisal and supports emotional regulation. Studies on decentering and mindfulness show that shifting identification, observer rather than controller, lowers anticipatory anxiety. Before a high-stakes meeting or exam, articulate, "I will meet what is already known to God." My task is clarity and ethics in this frame. Reframing uncertainty. Replace "I don't know what will happen" with "I am witnessing what God already knows." This is not passivity. It is a semantic reorientation that curbs catastrophic prediction while preserving responsibility. Cognitive reappraisal alters appraisals upstream of emotion, often reducing physiological arousal and improving decision quality. Acting without attachment. If outcomes already exist in divine order, concentrate on intention and method rather than possession of results. Acceptance and commitment therapy emphasizes committed action aligned with values while relaxing rigid outcome control. Define the value, for example, justice, service, accuracy. Choose the next concrete step that reflects it. Release the demand that the step guarantee a specific outcome. Effort remains. Anxiety decreases. You become more stable under pressure because responsibility is relocated to what can actually be governed. The clarity of intention and the quality of execution name recognition in events. When events are difficult, ask, which name might be disclosing here? If discipline is required, consider Al-Hakim wisdom or Al-Adal justice. If constraint arises, consider Al-Kahasib. This frames experience as information, not punishment. It guides proportionate responses, patience where constraint is pedagogical, decisive correction where justice is at stake. A product launch is delayed by a supply issue. Instead of escalating blame, the team names the active qualities: Al-Sabr, the patient; Al-Mudabbir, the disposer or planner. They resequence tasks, communicate transparently, and strengthen quality control. The event becomes instruction rather than destabilization. Ibn Arabi's Lost Code proposes that the future already exists, not as a hostile decree, but as divine knowledge disclosing itself through time. Physics challenges the intuition of temporal flow. Neuroscience shows that the mind constructs continuity from discrete samples. Ibn Arabi integrates these insights metaphysically. The eternal becomes sequence so that consciousness can learn, choose, and recognize. The practical effect is neither fatalism nor magical certainty. It is a sober relocation of responsibility. Intend clearly, act ethically, witness attentively. Anxiety about control softens because authorship is reframed as participation. Destiny is not a script written against you. It is meaning unfolding through you. The future is not waiting to be made. It is waiting to be seen. Trusting this does not end effort. It reorders it. What comes to you was always there in God. Freedom begins when you stop trying to manufacture the future and start realizing that you are already inside it, page by page, frame by frame, as awareness meets the disclosure of the real.